CSL Leesburg. It is August now, so welcome to August. So I'm Charlene Banks, and I am your Spiritual Community Director here at CSL Leesburg, and I welcome you to our talk today. This month's theme is A Pause for Guidance, and today's talk title is Time for a Tune-Up. You gotta love it, right? So here we are. I'm going to just give you Tamara's welcome to the service today. She's not with us in person, but she's with us in spirit.
Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless the sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these elements of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is.
Yes, and so it is. So if you have any prayer requests, please type them into the chat, whether you're in Facebook, YouTube Live, or Zoom, and I will ensure that I include that in our spiritual treatment at the end of the talk. So just settle in. It's time to go into our community meditation, where we just take a moment and take our mind and remove it from the world and bring it within where the divine resides. Okay, so just if you are comfortable doing so, just relax in a sort of alert or a straight back posture. What you're looking for is that your spine is in alignment from the tip of your crown all the way down. And then go ahead and ground your feet if you are in a position of sitting. And so with this, we will go into our meditation. Nice deep breath. Hold it. Yeah. Repeat that. Allowing the in and out breath to anchor and center our being. Is there any tension in your body? Particularly the jaw, the shoulder, the neck? And relax. Now, in this moment, the now, we are aware of our oneness with all that is. Starting with the very center of our being, that still small voice within that gets louder when we quiet our mind. That is the voice of the One, the Divine Presence. That is the part of us that has never been hurt or harmed. It has no scars. It is pure. It is the essence of life itself. This is the truth of our being, and this is a hidden secret for some. But as we awaken to this inherent oneness, we don't have to invoke it. We don't have to empower it. We just become aware that it is there. It is us. It is I. I am what thou art, and thou art what I am. There is no separation. This awareness, this acknowledgement of our oneness, the most important thing we'll do all day. Just allowing ourselves breathe into this awareness of the One, presence of the Divine that has never left us, has always been right here. We allow this little small, still small place within us, this temple of the Most High, to expand in our awareness so that we are not only aware of it within ourselves, but it is everywhere present, everywhere. Even in the midst of confusion, so-called confusion, there is the divine truth. There is a light, there is wholeness. So I invite you to imagine a still small spark within you growing and expanding in its scope so that it is embodying you, just bigger and bigger, becoming this orb of light that's pulsating with the divine essence that has you inside of it. Now you're bathed in the love and the light of the divine. And it emanates outward, surrounding all that surrounds you. Because the divine is all around, encompassing all that we can see, all that we can feel. Everything is immersed in the one. So it is so good to know and to remind myself of this truth, of the divinity that lives within. That all we have to do is turn our inner eye to see it, and to turn our inner ear to listen and hear what it has to say. And when we do so, it just makes the world such a beautiful place. Because we are born anew to this divine presence. Through this divine presence, every moment is made new. And so I just give thanks for this presence that informs my life and that holds me in the midst of it. And feel the entire encompassing love. I feel cherished as I am. And I know this is true for each and every one of us. And I invite you to return back into the room where you sit, just giving thanks for this time that we've had to sit in this awareness, knowing that all is well. And so it is. We'll stop sharing now. It is time for us to be blessed by our wonderful Layla, who hopefully will unmute her microphone. She has something to share.
Good morning, everybody. Don't let me show cruelty, though I may make mistakes. Don't let me show ugliness, though I know I can hate. And don't let me show evil, though it might be all I take. Show me love, show me love, show me love. Don't let me think weakly, though I know that I can break. Keep me away from apathy while I am still awake. And don't let me think too long of the one I'm bound to face. Show me love, show me love, show me love. Show me love, show me love, show me love.
Ah, that was beautiful. Yes. You're very talented, my dear. It was just amazing. It just touched me. Show me love. And it is so amazing to be in the month of August, I know I keep saying that, but the year seems to be flying by, so much so that sometimes when we don't start our day with such a chant, such as what Layla shared, and don't let me devolve pretty much into ugliness, show me love, right? When we're able to ask ourselves and to ask for this, for the presence to show us the way, then we're living a wonderful life, because it definitely knows the way. But when we forget to ask, to be shown the way, well, what happens is things get a little out of whack. So imagine that your life, your whole journey on this planet is similar to that of a car, an, an internal combustion engine car. I have to make that distinction because if it were an an electric car, it would be a little different. But imagine, for this analogy to work, that you are the car. How do you know that you need a tune-up? So how would you know you need a tune-up? If your life is like a car, how would you know that in your life you need a tune-up? Well, let's look at how we would know if, when we're driving a car, that it needs a tune-up, right? So let me take you to, I've actually prepared a couple of slides, and you guys are going to go with me on this because I'm having a little fun with the way I do things. All right, so hold on, let me find it here. It's very basic, and I wanted to bring it up and show you this, and it's not even a styled slide. But I found this online this morning and I thought, I like this better. I was going to take you down some long road of all Ernest Holmes quotes, and I still will. But I like this analogy. Number one, how do you know you need a tune-up? Well, you notice a decrease in gas mileage. Again, we're talking ICE cars here. If your gas mileage is getting noticeably worse, it could be time for a tune-up. So let's think about this spiritually. How would you have a decrease in gas mileage spiritually? There's one way I know that I know when I'm having a decrease in so-called gas mileage, I'm getting a little snippy with the guy that I work with. Little snippy, right? Things that I used to take in stride, I'm now doing a little bit of air grabbing. Now he can't see me because we work and we don't turn on our cameras at work. But when he says something and I'm like, look, and if I start grabbing air, no, that's a problem. All right. I don't want to come from there, right? So decrease in gas mileage. 2, your check engine light is on. Now I know that your ICE car, when your check engine light is on, your car is sending a clear message. But what things in our lives send us clear messages? You know, you get feedback from people. All of a sudden, you keep walking into things that are kind of blowing up. Those are your check engine lights. You have trouble accelerating. If your car is struggling to accelerate, the website link says, or is sputtering and stalling out as you press the gas pedal, it could be a clogged engine. I'm like, oh my God, life. Think about life. You have trouble accelerating. Like you know what you want, but you just kind of can't get there. You keep scrolling on the ever scroll of whatever social media, and you have trouble accelerating towards your goals. Your car struggles to start. This is number 4. Problem and sign that something needs to be checked out. If a car is hard to start, it usually requires service. Hard to start. Dude, getting up in the morning, is it hard for you? Do you just find that lackadaisical malaise that is coming over all of us, and we call it the COVID, that whole COVID, what's it, whatever they call it, the COVID something, the COVID conundrum, where you're just like, I can't do another day like this. And finally, the number 5, there's a lot of noise coming from the engine. And so I'll go ahead and take off this slide because it's really quite boring to look at. But you get my 5 points though. There's a lot of noise coming from the engine. Here's how you know spiritually that it's probably time for a tune-up. You sit down to meditate, but there's too much noise. You got the chatter going on in your mind. And so it could be time for a tune-up. Well, wait. So I know, Shar, you might be saying to yourself, yeah, we get it. the whole car analogy, there's some spiritual things we can pull from that. If my life is like a car, it's the thing that moves me, if my body maybe is like a car, I'm moving around and it starts to show me, hey, I'm going to need some help here. What kind of tools could we use? Because a mechanic has straight up tools, don't they? They have a whole diagnostic thing and they'll give you a little checklist of all the things that are wrong. But we don't have such a readout spiritually, or do we? We don't have technology spiritually, or do we? But I would say Ernest Holmes laid down a very clear technology called spiritual mind treatment. And that's only one of the 5 tools that we use here at CSL Leesburg. In fact, when we started the whole service today, Tamara introduced you to the 5 pillars, of, our whole community. What we do as a spiritual practice has 5 components to it. One of them is study, and that is based on the idea of truth. And so I can think about 3 different things about our little tune-up list that could be remedied or resolved through study. What does it mean to study? You come take a class. We're going to be offering classes starting in September. You come take a class on, usually it's a 5-week class. You meet once a week and you have homework and you get to really put to use the teachings of Ernest Holmes, of the science of mind, because there are some really good teachings here. In fact, when we talk about what we teach in those classes, one of the things we teach is the technology of spiritual mind treatment. And spiritual mind treatment is a prayer. It's a prayer, but the prayer has specific components to it. It's not just sit down and hope for the best. No, there's specific components to it. And in our classes, you learn how to do that. And why would you, learn how to do a specific prayer a specific way? Well, because it's scientific and it gets results that can be traced. In fact, we encourage you to write down what it is that you are praying for. And with some training on that, you will keep track of how many of these prayers came through, manifested, even better than what you had thought in the first place, better than what you ever could have imagined. It's traceable, just like a scientific principle. And so with this next slide, I want to show you what Ernest Holmes has to say about for spiritual mind treatment. He says, you should always expect instantaneous and permanent results from your treatments. Unless you expect such results, you cannot attain them, since your denial of such results would be using the law in reverse. Practice a complete abandonment to faith. This is you. This you must do for yourself. No one else can do it for you. So let's think about that. Unless you expect certain results, you won't see them. It's a little bit like Yoda told Luke Skywalker, and he said, I don't believe it. And Yoda said, in the Yoda way, I can't do it the Yoda way, but he said, it's because you believe it, because you can't believe it. That's why you can't see it. You have to, right? You can't back your way into the miracle or the solution or the manifestation. We have to start from the idea that I already know it's already done. And we teach this. We know it's not something that comes naturally. When you first learn this whole practice, a lot of us are in disbelief, I'll call it disbelief. Well, how could that work? Yeah, sure. I'm going to sit here and say, I'm the Queen of England. I'm the Queen of England. Well, of course you're not. And that's misuse of it, right? But instead we teach what the law is, how it works. And when you sit in denial of it, then that's what you're going to manifest. In fact, I'll show you this other slide, of course. exactly which one it is. Hold on as I scroll through. Hold on. Scrolling. Um, says, all of the quotes I have this week and all the quotes I'm going to be showing you are from the book This Thing Called You from Ernest Holmes. It's one of the best books ever because it takes a lot of his teachings and drills it down and kind of compacts it into something to use in your life. But look at this. Whatever you identify yourself with, you will become like. Whatever you resist until you make it a reality, you will also become like. What? And so, of course, you know me, I immediately opened the book, turned to the page, and I was like, tell me more. And that's where the rest of the quotes came from for the rest of these PowerPoint slides. So do you see how he says, whatever you resist until you make it a reality? Think about the person who sits and says, I definitely don't want that. That's terrible. I don't want it. Oh, look at me, now I'm in it. Because by not wanting it, the law just says, hey, what are you interested in? And then it gives you what you're interested in. And so if you stay interested in not something, and I'm trying to think of an example that's not terrible. The only example I can come up with off the top of my head, of course, is that when I was learning how to ride a motorcycle, we were told to look in the direction we want to go instead of looking in the direction we don't want to go, because the bike follows your eyes. It follows your attention. And so as a rider, I was terrified of the big trucks coming, on a 2-lane highway on a curvy mountain road. I would always look, because I'm scared, I'm looking at the grill of the Mack truck. I will never forget this. I'm looking at the grill that says Mack. And I'm like, Shar, you don't want that to be the face print of your face. So look at the road. Don't look at the grill of that truck. And it was only like a 6-foot difference between really between the 2 lanes. And I had to pull my attention and keep pulling it back to the road I was on and look at the road as I leaned into the curves. And I had to just trust that Mack truck would stay in his lane. And then, of course, at the same time I was riding motorcycle new for the first time in Southern California, I was also taking Science of Mind classes. And that's what I've always connected those two, that Ernest Holmes is saying, whatever you resist will become your reality and you're going to become like it. It's exactly what he said. So what do? We train our minds. We train our thoughts to be the thing we want. And I know it's hard, you guys, because we have a lot of temptation. You talk about Mack truck, all you have to do is show me a bunch of people who are being really resistant to, I don't know, being protected from a particular virus. And I start going down that road of, yum, 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 right? They're not doing. They're not. And so for me, I think I need the spotlight again full time. Yeah, there we go. And for me, what I saw was that to keep my focus on what I do want, because how is it going to serve me? How is it going to bring into my life what it is I want to experience if I keep kvetching about the people who aren't doing what I think they should do? And don't I need to just trust the Mack truck that he's going to stay in his lane? Do I need to trust the divine that those, even those people, those other, even they are being used for good? I might not see it, but I have to trust the divine. And speaking of trust, I mean, we could go and, complain to the creator about our circumstances. I have a quick little story to tell you about a lobster who did this. The lobster, you're like, okay, wait, a lobster? Yeah, a lobster. So check it out. I'm going to read it from my screen, so I'm not looking down so much. So pardon me while I scroll. Okay. Long ago, when the world was very new, there was a certain lobster who was determined that the creator had made a mistake. So he set up an appointment to discuss the matter. With all due respect, he said to the creator, I wish to complain about the way you designed my shell. You see, just as I got used to one outer casing, then I have to shed it for another. Very inconvenient and rather a waste of time. To which the creator replied, I see. But do you realize that it is giving up of one shell that allows you to grow into another? But I like myself just the way I am, the lobster said. Your mind is made up? The creator asked. Indeed, the lobster stated firmly. Very well, smiled the creator. From now on, your shell will not change, and you may go about your business just as you do right now. Great interview, said the lobster and left. At first, the lobster was very content wearing the same old shell, but as time passed, he found that his once light and comfortable shell was becoming quite heavy and tight. After a while, in fact, the shell became so cumbersome that the lobster couldn't feel anything at all outside of himself. As a result, he was constantly bumping into others. Finally, it got to a point where he couldn't even breathe. So with great effort, he went back to the creator. And with all due respect, the lobster sighed, contrary to what you promised, my shell has not remained the same. It keeps shrinking. Not at all, smiled the creator. It has remained the same size. What happened is that you changed inside within your shell. The creator continued, you see, everything changes continuously. No one remains the same. That's the way I've made things. When you let go of your shell and choose to grow, you build new strength within yourself. And in that strength, you will find new capacity to love yourself, to love those around you, to love life itself. That is my plan for everyone. So I love that story about the lobster. The lobster wanted to stay. He didn't know he wanted to stay small. He just knew he wanted to stay comfortable. And how many of us want everything to get better as long as it's comfortable? Or everything we want to get better as long as things sort of remain the same for us. And so what I'm hoping that little story did for you was to have you ask yourself, well, where in my life have I sort of resisted the change? And then that would be one of the things that we talk about, a tune-up. The tune-up, allowing ourselves to allow ourselves to grow into whatever situation is calling us to grow into. And so for me, I ask myself, wow, so difficult situation. I could either try to force everybody else to change, or I can find what inside me is being raised up, what is being asked to grow. And then some of the other things we can do when we have these indicators about how, life seems to be showing me a certain thing, how can I respond? One of our other pillars, besides study and spiritual mind treatment, is meditation. Meditation. And when you meditate, you're sitting still, like we did today, and you're focusing on a thought or an idea, or just your breath. And we're allowing that thought to be the only thought, and bringing our mind back to that. Some people use a mantra. Some people use an affirmation. So there are some affirmations that we can start each day with, kind of what Layla was singing about this morning, affirmations that help us remember who we really are. Here's another quote from Ernest Holmes, same book. I know I'm going back and forth with screen sharing, so bear with me. So the law that we talk about here can only operate on your images of thought, he says, since the law is a doer and not a knower. And so when you take some courses, you find out that there's like the universe operates in three ways, and you might call this the Trinity if you're a traditionalist, But there are three ways that the universe operates, God operates in this, reality that we have here. And one of them is through the law. That is any word. The reason that God's word is creative and our word is creative is because when we speak the word, it goes into the law, and the law is a doer and not a knower. The law doesn't decide, it just does. Okay? So the law takes whatever you put into it and makes it so. This is how the so-called universe was created, right? And this is how we keep creating in our lives. The law is a doer, not a knower. Therefore, it's up to you to keep the images in your mind clear, that they may reflect themselves in the law, because the law is a mirror. The law is a mirror. It reflects that which is standing in front of it. It just puts back out what it's been given. So we say to ourselves affirmations. And so if you use your meditation as a time to sit and get centered and get your mind right, as they say, you can say this affirmation: the kingdom of God, the glory of God is here and now. I am forever a part of its being. The perfect law of God is now operating in my affairs. There's no strain, stress, or fear in my life. I am in the presence of radiant joy, of divine love, and perfect. The vibration just changed. When you sit with this knowledge, these are the types of affirmations that when you speak them and you know them to be true, the law says, yes. Why, yes, I shall give that. That is what is true. It always says yes. And it only then is up to us to decide what things are we putting in, because that will be exactly what we get. Beautiful. And it's not hard, and that's fun, right? It's not that hard, right? But it's just so powerful to have that. And so I ask you, what is it that you can do? What is it that you can do to get this so-called tune-up? What can you do? You've got study, we talked about. We've got prayer, which is spiritual mind treatment. We've got meditation that we talked about just now, and meditating on any one of these affirmations, it's a game changer. Then we have two other things. Circulation is one of our pillars, and then sacred service. So not just sitting and holding your truth to be your own, but going and making it known to the world and serving others. So where is it that you would like improvement in your life? And what is it that you would like to have show up in your life? So as we go into prayer, I'll just leave the sharing on, and I will end with this affirmation as I go into the prayer. Today, I am realigned with spiritual truth. And let me check. Yes. So I assume everyone has entered their request for prayer into the chat. As we just remind ourselves, today I am realigned with spiritual truth. Let's go within for prayer. And so knowing that there is only one mind, one life, one presence, that is the presence, the life, the mind of God. That mind is my mind. That life is my life. That presence is my presence now. And I am realigned with this divine truth that I am one with the divine. That there is only love, only peace, only joy. And it is happening right now. that as I align myself with that spiritual truth, that there can be no separation, that I speak my word. Because I know there is a law that only says yes, that I speak these words of truth into this law. Because I know that as I speak it, it is so. And so the words I speak is for this entire planet, this precious earth, to be overcome with more peace, more love, that every soul on this planet is aligned with their true calling, what they are here to be, who they are here to be, because I know each and every one of us has a divine calling. Each and every one of us is here on purpose for a purpose of the divine. No one else can do it. No one else can be me. I've got to be me. And I am speaking my word that each of us are aligned to this higher calling of the soul. And that is the truth that we turn toward, that we turn away from appearances, we turn away from external opinions and judgments and measuring oneself against another. All the false appearances. I speak my word that each of us on this planet is beginning to turn within and to ask the question and to get the answer that is truly their own. And that then they show up in this world, anchored and realigned with the spiritual truth of who they are, so that they can show up and show out as the divine. And that we each see this in each other, that we each celebrate this in each other. We do not make each other feel bad about being whoever they are, because that is God happening right here, right now. We do not beg to keep our old shell so that we may never have to expand. We will be expanding anyway. That is the nature of the divine. We grow. When we trust that the divine has created a way for us to grow into the next yet to be. We are not required to hold on to anything that no longer serves us, that we release any constraining factor in life, whether it's relationships or situations or even jobs. We release anything that no longer serves us with the divine eye toward our greater yet to be, knowing that it will be given to us, pressed down, running over, multiplied, because of the sincerity of who we are and how we showed up in life. And that it is our job. No one can do it for us. And so I know each and every one of us has been newly inspired to discover her purpose, her meaning, his or her divine essence. What am I here for? And then to step out into the world with confidence, knowing that God shall provide, the universe shall provide. Being available to do each of the 5 things that this community practices, to do study, to perform our spiritual mind treatments, to meditate, to ensure that we practice our circulation and that we step into sacred spirituality, sacred service, sacred activism, because we are all one. And I know that this world is becoming more and more the world that works for everyone, because we're in it, and because we're active, and because we are awake. And I do give thanks that this is the truth. And I do give thanks, and I can't wait to see how it just keeps on showing itself in my life and in the lives of each and every one of us. So I do give thanks for this truth, knowing that it is already done. I release it into the law, and I just let it be. And so it is. And now we have a song by Layla and accompanied musician Lee, I believe. Is that?
Close every little thing, it's gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Pretty little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Say don't worry about a thing. No, no, no. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Say don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I rose up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. Three little birds perched on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing. People don't worry. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. People don't worry, no, no, no. Everything is gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. No, no, don't worry. Alright. Knows every little thing is gonna be alright. No, don't worry about a thing. You know every little thing is gonna be alright. Honey, don't worry about a thing. It's just fine.
Wonderful. I love it. All right. So that was great. Don't worry about a thing. All right. So now it's time to talk about ways to support. So you get to practice the circulation pillar. And so there are many ways to donate to the center, and we are going to be doing some great things. Stay tuned. Afterwards, we're going to allow some of our community to help us come up with community affirmations that we're going to be putting out into all the social media. That's just one of the ways in which we're using your donations to help make the world a better place. So look at your screen. Feel free to make your donation in any of the following ways, or just head over to cslleesburg.org. So whether you're giving online or in person or electronically, just take your gift or the idea of your gift and hold it against your heart. And then with me, could you please say our affirmation? The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the lives of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And so it is. Other ways we're using your offerings are to present things during the week. So I know that we said there's pillars, there's study, there's prayer, there's meditation, right? So if you want to study your dreams, head on over Dream Study every Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. We're going to talk about your dreams, and it's hilarious because I talk about life being similar to your car, and using that as an analogy. I have a lot of car dreams. And so we always like pick it apart. Well, you know, if it's your life and someone's stealing your car, who's stealing your joy? These kinds of things we help each other figure out. Super duper fun. Please join us. And then for the prayer and visioning portion of our pillars, head on over on Wednesday nights at 7. We'll be holding prayer. So anyone who puts in a prayer request, and there's a form you can fill out on our website, you could put in a prayer request. We're going to read that and we're going to hold you in prayer for that entire service. And then the practitioners will even hold that prayer for the entire week. So at 7 p.m., join us. And other than that, if you want to stick around afterwards in the Zoom room, we're going to be sharing ways in which you guys can participate in suggesting affirmations to go out to all of our social media. And we're going to share our pearls, anything you got out of the service. So hang out or join us on Zoom. But in the meantime, I want you to have a great week. I will be away next Sunday, but we have a great set of presenters and performers for you next week. So come on back. All right. In the meantime, close your eyes and say, I am loved. Really feel it. You got it? Good. Open your eyes and look around. Point to somebody, even if it's to the screen, and say, you are loved. And then put your hands up. It's all love. Don't worry about a thing. Okay, you guys, have a